We all know the common sins: lying, stealing, murder, adultery. But did you know that the Bible speaks of sins that many people overlook? Some sins are so subtle that we might commit them daily without even realizing it. Let's dive into 5 sins you may have never considered before, sins that the Bible warns us about, but that often go unnoticed. 1. The sin of complaining, murmuring. Philippians 2:14. Do everything without grumbling or arguing. How often do we complain about life, our jobs, the weather, our families, or even minor inconveniences? Complaining might seem harmless, but the Bible equates it with rebellion against God's plan. The Israelites in the wilderness were punished for their constant complaints, Numbers 14:27-30. Instead of murmuring, we should practice gratitude, trusting that God is in control of all things. 2. The sin of gossip. Proverbs 16:28. A perverse person stirs up conflict, and a gossip separates close friends. We may think gossip is just harmless talk, but the Bible calls it a serious sin. Gossip can destroy reputations, break friendships, and sow discord in families and churches. Every time we share a story about someone else, whether true or not, we must ask, is this helpful? Is this loving? If not, we should stay silent and pray instead. 3. The sin of knowing the right thing but not doing it. James 4:17. So whoever knows the right thing to do and fails to do it, for him it is sin. Sometimes sin isn't just about doing something wrong. It's also about failing to do what's right. If God places an opportunity before us to help someone, to share the gospel, or to stand up for truth, but we shrink back in fear or laziness, we are sinning. This verse challenges us to be bold in our faith and take action when God calls us to. 4. The sin of partiality, favoritism. James 2:9. But if you show favoritism, you sin and are convicted by the law as lawbreakers. We might not think twice about treating certain people better than others, favoring the rich over the poor, or those who look and think like us over those who are different. But the Bible warns that showing favoritism is a sin. God sees all people as valuable, and so should we. Instead of playing favorites, we should love and serve everyone equally, as Christ did. 5. The sin of idleness, laziness. Proverbs 19:15. Laziness brings on deep sleep, and the shiftless go hungry. Many people think of laziness as just a bad habit, but the Bible calls it a sin. When we waste time, neglect our responsibilities, or fail to use the gifts God has given us, we dishonor Him. The Bible calls us to work diligently, be productive, and use our time wisely for His glory. Final challenge. These 5 sins might not always make the headlines, but they matter to God. Complaining, gossip, failing to do right, favoritism, and laziness are all subtle but dangerous sins that can creep into our lives. But here's the good news. God's grace is greater than our sins. If we confess and turn away from them, He is faithful to forgive us. 1 John 1:9. So let's examine our hearts today. Are any of these sins present in our lives? Let's ask God to help us overcome them, so we can live in a way that truly honors Him. Thank you, and God bless you.